hangs right above where Charlie Kirk was murdered. What does that flag mean in this moment?
That flag symbolizes 250 years of struggle, 250 years of improvement. It represents all of us, not one portion of us, not one faction, not one identity. It represents all of us.
This week, 60 Minutes, we're visiting with Spencer Cox. He is the Republican governor of Utah, and not a lot of people in this country knew of him until the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And then it was Spencer Cox who was before the cameras asking Americans if we could just stop hating each other. We went back to Utah Valley University on the first day of class. It was 7 days since Charlie Kirk had been murdered there. The governor wanted to talk to some of the students, I think, to hear what their impressions were after a week, and also to give them confidence that their country was going to move forward, that politics could be repaired.
I think it's important not to tell people they shouldn't disagree, that there's something wrong with disagreement, or that disagreement is the problem. It's not the problem, right? It's how we do that. I think that matters.
See cameras, Colin, Mark.
We wanted to sit down with a couple of students who were there at the event where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And so we met Hunter Kozak and Jeb Jacoby. Jeb was a volunteer at the event. He was part of Turning Point USA.
He meant an inspiration to me. I watched his campus debates where he was able to communicate with other individuals in a pretty professional way when it came to debates about pretty much anything, and I just found that admirable.
Yeah, this is working. Hey, Charlie.
Hunter Kozak, who would identify himself as a liberal, was there to debate Charlie Kirk, and tragically was the person who was speaking with Kirk at the very moment that the shot was fired.
Hopefully we're going to have a little bit more disagreement.
Yours was the last question that Charlie Kirk ever heard.
Yeah, there's a strange amount of weight to that. I don't really know how to grapple with that. I mean, he's answered tens of thousands of questions, and that was the first question I've ever asked him. We never talked before that.
There's video of you in that moment. What was that moment like?
I thought I heard a firecracker, and I see I see the bullet hit his neck, and I fall to the ground. I think I recognized immediately what this was. This wasn't necessarily like a mass shooting. This was like an assassination.
I just remember I got up and I ran and I called my mom and I said, "Mom, Charlie Kirk's been shot." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "He's been shot." I literally watched a bullet enter his neck and I watched him die in front of me.
Jed, this event pushes Democrats and Republicans farther apart or brings them closer together, in your view?
I think the moderate Democrats and Republicans, I think it brings them together. I think there are individuals on both the left and the right, some of them more radical, that it pushes them apart. And I think it's communication that is the most important element that comes together, and I think that there needs to be effective communication between both parties in order to find solid ground on this issue.
I think that the few things that we can agree on is this necessity for a conversation. I think that we need to remember that we still have to live with each other, that these are still our neighbors, that this is still my community. And when I walk to campus, sure, that event was 99% Republicans. Everyone in that crowd disagreed with everything that I had, but that was still my school.
You both witnessed what happened. Your message to the country is what?
I could run down the list of all the disagreements that I had with Charlie Kirk. I could say that his policy proposals brought harm to this country, but I think he would probably say the same thing to me. But I do think that part of living in a society is not resorting to violence. This shooter is 1 in 400 million Americans, and he doesn't speak for us.
I think it's that we need to remember that we're still human, and it's genuinely like if you get faced with a situation where you have a disagreement with someone, I think it's about taking into consideration how their day is going and saying, you know, I don't know necessarily what you're going through, but I'm here for you and I understand and I just want the best for you, regardless if we disagree.
And your advice to our politicians, having seen what you've seen?
My advice would be more toward the voters who vote for those politicians to look at what you are enabling with your vote and recognize that you have a lot more control over the situation together as a community than you might think.